750, Big 550, KTRS. He's from the 13th District in Southern Illinois. He's Rodney Davis, newly elected, re-elected. Congressman Rodney Davis, welcome back to Big 550, KTRS.
Great to be here. Thank you guys for almost killing me with the rolling chair.
Since you've been here, Donald Trump has been elected president of the United States. Have you made your peace with our president-elect?
Oh, there's really no peace to be made. Look, what I did in October was pull an endorsement. I've learned, don't endorse people you've never met before. But at this point, I'm very happy with a lot of the decisions that he's made. I think he's really grown into being the president-elect. I think he's going to do a great job if some of these cabinet appointments are the first indicator.
Are you worried about this Russian connection that everyone's talking about?
It's kind of funny that every time we see cabinet appointments, they're always going to find some criticism. I'm concerned if Russia has decided to try and play in our election process, very much so. However, we got to take a step back. Look, the RNC was supposedly hacked, and I watched Reince Priebus, who still runs the RNC, say we were not hacked. So we've got to get the evidence. Let's take a step back and make sure before we start accusing countries and accusing people of influencing a process that I think is the greatest election process in the history of the world. Let's make sure we have all the evidence.
Have you had a chance to meet Trump yet?
No, I have not.
Let's talk about going forward, because there's all sorts of talk about a pro-growth strategy and a stimulus bill and hundreds of billions of dollars for roads and bridges and everything else. Is that the right way to go with this?
Well, you know me, McGraw. I've always said that if we're going to invest in America, it ought to be through infrastructure. Now, I don't think the word stimulus will be used or the phrase shovel-ready, but think about what President Obama did with his economic stimulus package. He sold it. He went out and borrowed $1 trillion. He sold it as infrastructure. There was less than 6% of that $1 trillion that went towards infrastructure. I think we can work with President Trump and his administration to put together a very cost-effective infrastructure plan that's really going to put Americans to work instead of grow government like President Obama's did.
Some people worry that something like that will explode the deficit. Or do we not care about deficits anymore?
Well, we do care about deficits. I care about the debt. But what we've seen is not working. And what President Obama put forth did not work. However, the only success stories they talk about from that stimulus bill are the infrastructure investments. I think we've got to grow our economy. We've got to get our debt to GDP ratio into a better scenario. And when we do that, then we can continue to reduce our deficits, which we've done. But we can't decimate our military. And one thing that we have to do, and one thing I look forward to working with the Trump administration on, is addressing the real drivers of our debt, which is the mandatory side of our spending ledger.
Which is the Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
If we do nothing with the mandatory side of our ledger, all of those programs, both of those programs, and all of our mandatory programs will go broke.
So you're in favor of what?
I'm in favor of making sure that we have Social Security and Medicare, not just for the current generation as is, but for my generation and future generations like my kids and future grandkids. And if we do nothing, we don't have that even for current beneficiaries.
But this gets sort of also into the Obamacare argument. Let me ask you that question. How soon after everyone's reelected and sworn in is Obamacare going away?
Well, I think what you're going to see is probably a two-step process, McGraw and Kelly. We've got, because of the Senate's antiquated rules that they follow and procedures, we're going to have abided what we call the reconciliation apple. Reconciliation process allows us to pass something in the Senate that will be by simple majority instead of the 60-vote threshold. I think you'll see us go on a path to repeal Obamacare, which the American people demanded in this election. I think part of the reason Hillary Clinton lost, a major reason why, is because the new Obamacare premiums came out right before the election. And I had small businesses in my hometown have 87% increases on $6,000 deductibles. It's unaffordable for families and unaffordable for people trying to actually grow their companies.
I agree. Healthcare costs are through the roof.
Yeah.
But taking away the federal subsidies, how is that going to make the health insurance premiums less?
Well, what we're going to do is put a better system in place. And if people want to see the framework of that system, go to our Better Way agenda, better.gop. We've laid it out. This is where I got to give a policy wonk like Paul Ryan credit. In the midst of a very a presidential race that sucked all the energy out of the room, he focused us on putting together an agenda in case we got a unified Republican government. We got it. Now we don't have to plan. It's out there. We can work with President-elect Trump and a Republican Senate to actually implement our plan.
Going forward, in the Republican plan, are you going to force people to buy insurance?
Well, what we're going to do is we've already laid out our framework. I'm excited that we've got Tom Price, who actually put forth Obamacare replacement plans while he was serving in the House and currently does serve in the House. This is a guy who's an orthopedic surgeon, who's a doctor by trade, going to lead HHS. We're going to work with Tom Price to put together the best, most affordable coverage that's still going to do things that I want to be addressed, like covering pre-existing conditions, for example. My wife's a cancer survivor.
But you know that you can't have pre-existing conditions without forcing people to buy insurance. You can't buy insurance in the emergency room. So
we still have, even under this plan, McGraw, that you and I have talked about for the last 4 years when I've been here.
Yes.
Even under this plan, we've got 31 million people that are uninsured still or can't afford to use their insurance. That's 10% of our population.
We're going to have to leave it there. Congressman Davis, great beard, by the way.
Hey,
Tremendous beard.
You
it's
wear
a
it well.
beard for radio.
You are always welcome here, Congressman. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
7:56.